I remember that day vividly. The day I was invited to a junior colleague's wedding, a day that would forever alter the course of not only my life but theirs as well. My name is Godwin, and I'm 32 years old. My life has been built on the foundation of hard work and perseverance, something many people with a different mindset might never truly understand. The wedding was a grand affair, the kind that radiates wealth and status. I attended more out of obligation than desire, as this colleague and I had once been close, but what should have been a joyous occasion quickly turned into something far more sinister. During the ceremony, as the bride stood before her guests, she made a proclamation that sent shockwaves through me. Without hesitation, she declared, people with low education and no money should cut ties with my husband. Her gaze scanned the room and landed squarely on me, making it clear I was her intended target. Her words were sharp, slicing through the light-hearted chatter like a knife through the air. The room fell silent, and I could feel the weight of everyone's eyes on me. Their unspoken judgment thickened the air. The groom, my colleague, stood beside her, a smug grin spreading across his face. Rather than defend me or remain silent, he joined in, adding his own stinging insults. The humiliation was palpable, but I refused to let it break me. I stood tall, swallowing the bitter pill they'd served with dignity. In that moment, I made a vow not just to distance myself from them, but to ensure they regretted ever looking down on me. They would soon learn that true worth isn't measured by degrees or wealth, but by character and integrity. But before we dive into that, let me take you back to where it all began. I grew up in a middle-class family, neither wealthy nor poor, just average. My parents, both college graduates, had high hopes for my future, but my path was different. While my peers were focused on high school and college aspirations, my mind was elsewhere. I was more interested in finding work and carving out my own path. I dropped out of school early, much to my parents' confusion. They couldn't understand at first, but over time they came to support me. Realizing that I needed to forge my own path, I started working in a factory, taking on labor-intensive jobs that most people would avoid. But I was determined. I moved from one job to another, learning new skills and gaining valuable experience along the way. Eventually, I worked my way up to becoming a painting contractor and then a site supervisor. Today, I'm a service department manager at a major machinery manufacturer, a publicly traded company where I've been for the past 7 years. My job involves visiting clients, overseeing machinery installations, and managing repairs and maintenance. It's not glamorous work, but it's honest, and through dedication and perseverance, I've earned the respect of my colleagues and clients alike. Life seemed to be moving forward, but I had no idea the past was about to catch up with me in a way I never expected. It was just another day at work when my company-issued phone rang. I was on my way to a client visit, driving on the freeway. When I saw the company's name flash on the caller ad, my heart sank a little. Not again, I thought, as I pulled over to take the call. It was another complaint, something I have to deal with immediately. Apologizing to the client, I assured them I'd be there as soon as possible. I quickly rearranged my schedule, knowing it was going to be another long day. After working well past 7 p.m., I finally returned to the branch office. As I walked in, I noticed Theodore's same colleague, whose wedding I would later attend, chatting cheerfully with someone from the sales team. Theodore was 2 years younger than me, and we worked in the same department. He had once been a polite, humble junior, someone I had taken under my wing. I used to enjoy mentoring Theodore, but everything changed the moment he learned I had dropped out of school. From that day on, his attitude toward me shifted dramatically. Gone was the respectful junior I once knew, replaced by someone who now looked at me with disdain. "Got a minute, Theodore?" I called out as I walked into the office. "What is it?" he replied, his voice laced with irritation. "There was a complaint from one of your clients this morning. I had to fix it myself, but tomorrow we're both going to apologize. Why did you leave it unattended for 2 days?" I asked, my frustration barely contained. He shrugged, clearly uninterested. "I had plans both days," he said nonchalantly. "The CEO is always bossing me around. Maybe they should rethink how they treat me." Excuses, that was all he ever gave anymore. I had no choice but to report the issue to our area manager, something I hated doing, but it was necessary. Theodore didn't seem to care. Instead, he scoffed and turned toward me, his voice dripping with arrogance. "You're just bitter because you dropped out and I graduated from a prestigious university," he sneered. I could hardly believe what I was hearing. Theodore, once eager to learn and humble in his approach, had transformed into someone unrecognizable, consumed by arrogance and a sense of superiority. But it wasn't just his attitude that bothered me. His incompetence was becoming a serious problem. Complaints from his clients were piling up, and it was affecting the company's reputation. The next day, as planned, we both went to the client side to apologize. The president of the company was furious. In industrial settings, such frustration wasn't uncommon, and I had become accustomed to handling these situations. But Theodore, with no real field experience, stood there silently, contributing nothing to his detention. After the meeting, as we drove back, I couldn't help but reflect on how far things had fallen between us. I had hoped that Theodore would reflect on the situation and learn from it, but instead, he launched into yet another tirade. "Why are field workers so uncivilized?" he spat, his frustration barely contained. That CEO practically advertises his lack of education with the way he talks. It was embarrassing to listen to. Here was a man who believed himself superior, yet couldn't even perform the basic duties of his job without leaving chaos in his wake. I tried to offer him advice, hoping to get him to understand the importance of sincerity and professionalism in his role, but my words fell on deaf ears. Theodore just laughed, dismissing everything I said. "I only took this job to get some mechanical knowledge," he said, almost smugly. "I don't plan on sticking around. This is just a stepping stone." "I only took this job to get some mechanical knowledge," he said, almost smugly. "I don't plan on sticking around. This is just a stepping stone." He didn't seem to grasp that his attitude was what was holding him back. With the growing number of complaints, there was no way the company would ever consider promoting him to the sales position he aspired to. But in his mind, all his problems were my fault. Believed I was jealous of his academic background and degree. A while later, I was on a business trip for a machinery setup. Things didn't go as planned, and I had to stay overnight to resolve the issue. In situations like this, other local branches usually send someone to help with major tasks. As I was looking for a place to eat near my hotel, I heard a familiar voice. "Hey, what are you doing here?" It was Theodore, and beside him was a woman I vaguely recognized. He introduced her as Selena, his girlfriend, and invited me to join them for dinner. I accepted, though something about the whole situation felt a bit off. During dinner, Theodore couldn't stop bragging. He mentioned that he and Selena had just gotten engaged, emphasizing that she graduated from the same prestigious university he did and came from a wealthy family. It was clear he was trying to impress, to flaunt his success. I stayed polite, quietly listening as he dominated the conversation, all too aware that his need to show off was just another symptom of his insecurity. When Theodore excused himself to go to the restroom, Selena turned to me, her demeanor suddenly shifting. The warmth she had displayed earlier vanished, replaced by a cold, steely gaze. "I've heard a lot about you from Theodore," she began, her voice dripping with disdain. "You think your managerial role is such a big deal just because you've been at the company a few years longer. Could you stop blocking Theodore's career?" Her words confirmed what I had suspected all along. Theodore had been bad-mouthing me to her. Rather than engage, I let her say her piece without responding, keeping my composure. When Theodore returned, the atmosphere was tense. We quickly finished dinner, and I made my excuses to leave. The next day, I went to troubleshoot the test run, but Theodore never showed up. A growing sense of unease pushed me to discreetly contact our area manager. When he looked into Theodore's business trip application, it became clear Theodore had filed a false claim. He hadn't been on a business trip and I had been out with Selena. The area manager assured me he would handle the situation, and I left it at that. Time passed, and eventually, The date for Theodore and Selena's wedding was set. I wasn't invited, which honestly came as a relief, but just a week before the ceremony, something unexpected happened. Our area manager, who was supposed to give the main speech at the wedding, had a last-minute emergency and asked me to attend in his place. Initially, I declined, but he insisted. Reluctantly, I agreed. On the day of the wedding, I arrived early and unexpectedly ran into Theodore and Selena. They both looked surprised to see me. Theodore's surprise quickly morphed into scorn. My elite friends and I all have degrees from prestigious universities and work in top-tier companies, he said smugly. I didn't think you would drop out would fit in, so we didn't invite you. I remained calm, explaining that I was there only to speak on behalf of the area manager. His face paled slightly, realizing my presence was official and unavoidable. As the ceremony began, I kept to the sidelines, waiting for my turn to speak. When the moment finally came, I took a deep breath, stepped up to the microphone, and prepared to address the room. Theodore and Selena glared at me, clearly wanting me gone, but I stood firm. Congratulations on your wedding, I began, my voice steady. If you thought I'd stick to the usual pleasantries, you're mistaken. Theodore isn't exactly commendable in his job, but since this is a celebratory occasion, I use only the highest praise. I paused, letting the tension in the room build. Top-tier graduate Theodore, you're exceptional, especially when it comes to accumulating customer complaints at work. Your unrepentant arrogance and constant blaming of clients truly showcase your thick skin. I'm always impressed. The room fell silent, broken only by gasps and whispers. Theodore's face flushed red with anger, and Selena jumped to her feet, shouting at me to stop, but I wasn't finished. Our Ivy League grad, Theodore, is quite a trickster, I continued, ignoring her. He's been faking business trips to spend time with his fiancée while claiming company expenses. It's bold and clear embezzlement. Before Theodore could react, the doors to the hall swung open. In walked our area manager, and to everyone's shock, the president of the client company Theodore had round. Selena's face drained of color as the president marched straight toward their table. So, lying about quitting your job to marry me was a lie, the president demanded, addressing Selena directly. What followed was nothing short of chaos. It was revealed that Selena had been working as a hostess at a club, a fact she had hidden from Theodore. She had borrowed money from the president to pay off her debts, then disappeared, planning to marry Theodore instead. The room erupted as the truth unraveled. Theodore, blindsided, turned on Selena, demanding answers, but she had none. The area manager stepped forward, confirming they had evidence of Theodore's misconduct, and he would be suspended pending further investigation. The wedding was called off, and the once lavish event ended in complete disgrace. Theodore was later fired, and legal proceedings were initiated to recover the money he had embezzled. Selena faced fraud charges, her dreams of a secure marriage crumbling before her eyes. As for me, I walked away from the scene with my head held high. I hadn't exposed Theodore out of spite, but out of a need to protect myself and uphold my values. Despite the challenges thrown my way, I would continue to live with integrity, knowing I had done what was right.